Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a very empty Herschbach church. We've got the church all to ourselves again, and now whether that's something to do with this corona season that's going on at the moment, we don't know. But my tip for you is, of course, stay at home, keep away from all those people with all those germs, don't forget to wash your hands, don't go touching your face, don't touch any other people, that's disgusting, we don't do that anyway. And yeah, just sort of keep yourselves to yourselves. I suggest staying at home and watching YouTube videos connected to the organ. How about that? There's this channel, it's called Fraser Gartshore, and he's got lots of videos talking about organ stuff. And yeah, I think if you watch all of them, that'll take about 2 weeks, and that's sort of the self-isolation time out there. So yeah, there's a little tip from me. Now, we're back in the church and we're back with Bach. We are battling with Bach. Remember at the beginning of the year, I presented to you my first page, as it were, of the Passacaglia in C minor, and I told you that we were going to learn this piece together. Well, today it's time for part 2, and true to my word, when we went home last time, the music was put away in the cupboard and it hasn't come out again until today. So we're going to look at the next 2 variations. So 16 bars of music, and already I can tell you it goes from this relative simple sort of variations on the first page, the first 2 variations, relatively simple, almost the same, harmonically slightly different, like I described last time, and then the next 2 are of course impossibly difficult. Yeah, it's sort of like like 2 completely separate pieces. That's the idea, of course. Now, there are lots of sort of hidden facts about this wonderful Passacaglia, and if you want to learn more about it, then I suggest you have a look down at the description below the video, where you will find a link to my website. And on my website, you will find a blog. And in the blog posts, there are lots of posts because I've just redone my website, and I think it's looking all right at the moment. And we've got blog posts. I posted one here about the beginnings of the Passacaglia with a little bit of sort of history of it and so on and so on. And there's going to be, of course, another post about today's batch of Passacaglia, the next 2. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, things that I don't get a chance to cover when we're here in these videos, obviously, I don't want to go into too much academic detail here, and that would be terribly dull for most people. But if you want to find out more, then you will find it on my blog. So have a look. And while you're there, ta-da! You can also get a copy of my new CD, which is now available in our web shop, also on the website, as linked below. You can buy a normal CD as it is, or, and I had to do this for the German version, they're all wrapped up in cellophane, yeah? They're professionally packaged, of course. So if you rip the cellophane off, you can then open it, and then that means I can sign it for you if you want. Some people want a signed copy of the CD. So on the website, you can buy a wrapped version, or you can buy a signed version, yeah? So I will open it up and I will sign my name there on the CD for you. And there's a lovely picture of me looking up at you. That was from one of our videos from here from a few months back. And yeah, the CD is now available for sale on the website. All of the people who sort of helped sponsor us from the beginning with our Start Next campaign, 90% of those CDs have already been sent around the world, and that was quite a task. But yeah, they've all been sent around the world, and they are now available for general purchase on my website. Link, as I said, below. Right, enough advertising, back to Bach. Right, let's go. Before we get into the meat of variations 3 and 4, which is basically only half of this page here, I'm going to reconnect, as it were, with the beginning. And I just recorded it once through for the German version of this scene, and it seemed to work. So let's see if it works while I do it now in this English version. So we have the theme in the pedals, as usual. By the way, the sort of air you can hear in the background is not a leak in the organ, it's the heating in the church, thankfully warming us a bit. So, first variation. Second variation. little mistake in there. I was busy thinking about splitting up my hands where it come to the end of this line here, and I managed to fluff it in the middle there. So there you are. But anyway, that's a sort of brief recollection of the Passacaglia so far. So now we move on to our third variation, and this is where Bach really sort of slaps us in the face again, because we've just gotten used to sort of playing this style of thing, and you're relaxed, you're ready, and then it just goes completely crazy. Typical, sorry, for Bach. I really can't do this German and English stuff anymore. I must speak much more English. Sorry about that. If you want to see me speaking more English, by the way, there is the chance to see me on my car channel, where I talk about repairing my old car. If you're interested in doing that, that's only in English. If you're interested in watching that, that's me fighting with my old car, breaking it, and then trying to fix it again. Link there. Or is it there? It's there, isn't it? Das ist oben rechts, oder? Yeah, link over there. Anyway, right, here we go. Let's have a look at this music here. These 8 bars here, come on and have a look. These 8 bars here are variation 3. And we have lines of music. We have an upper line. Don't forget the rest. A repeat. Third time lucky. Okay. I don't know why I played that on the upper manual. I should play it in the lower manual, really. So that's the upper line. Let's look at the lower line. This is obviously the left hand. Hovers there before it goes into the next variation. Now, even if you can't read music, come back to the music please, even if you can't read music, you can see how these lines are sort of going up and down, up and down, up and down. Even here, up, up, up and down, and down, and up and down, and up and down. So you can see this sort of this meandering up and down going on. And then we have the middle line. Let me play the middle line all by itself. Difficult to see in there. There's sort of the 3 lines of music, as it were, sort of in one stave. It's a bit confusing to read at first, but there we are. That's basically what's going on. So obviously we play the upper line with our right hand, the lower line with our left hand, and what do we do with the middle line? Well, the middle line has to sort of be placed between the hands as it fits. So for example, here it's absolutely, there's no way with my tiny little hands that I can't do that with one hand, so I have to split that up between the 2 hands. And here it sort of goes off up very high again, so how are we going to do that? I'm just going to play it through and see if my hands will sort of work it out by themselves, and then we'll go in more detail and start marking it. So here we go. Oh, and that's wrong. That shouldn't be there. That should stay there, okay? Now, while I was playing that, there were a couple of things I sort of noticed. Lines, should they be held? Where is the articulation? In other words, where does a line of music stop? Where does it take a breath before it starts again? Don't forget that, yeah? There are different styles of playing, and this is where I get most of my comments on these videos. Especially when it's involving Bach and his wonderful Baroque music, because a lot of people sort of think it should be played in a very specific way. Now that's fine if you belong to a certain school of thought. Now, British organists play Bach in a certain way. French organists play Bach in a completely different way. German organists play Bach, again, very differently. Dutch organists play it, once again, completely differently. And I dare say Polish, Hungarian, Japanese, Korean, South American, South African, all other organists from around the world. It depends where they learnt to play Bach and who they learnt to play Bach with. A perfect example of this is this little thing here. I must remember to do this in the German version just now. This little accent thing here, yeah, this little trill, this little ornament here, yeah, it's on a G, and 99% of people I've heard play this piece of music do a little shake on a G and an F, like this, which we know from other pieces of Bach. I also know other people who play it with an F sharp. I also know people that play it with an awful lot of Fs, or an awful lot of F sharps. My organ isn't speaking very well tonight. Anyway, so yeah, what's correct? Is an F sharp correct? Is an F natural correct? Well, according to certain organists, it should be an F sharp, and according to other organists, it should be an F. And some of those are world famous concert organists. Some of those are world famous organ experts, Bach academic experts. So it's up to you. What do you think sounds best, F or F sharp? Right, pencil in hand. I've just done this for the German version, and I'm not going to rub it out and do it again. So I'm just going to I've written it in, so I'll talk you through what we're doing. So we've got the upper line, the lower line, and the middle line. So it starts off in the left hand, swaps to the right hand, comes back to the left hand, back to the right hand. We have a break in the right hand. Here's the upper melody. Take it over with the left hand. So, and now we've got all these chords. I'm just going to keep doing that for now because it lets me sort of hear that it's finishing there. So yeah, that feels comfortable for me. Excuse me. Now that might not be comfortable for some other players, but this is the whole point of interpretation. I feel comfortable doing it like that, so that's the way I'm going to do it. Let me play it again without talking this time. I'm concentrating. Couple of tricky little moves there, but it feels comfortable enough for me. That, if you watch the German version of this little scene, you'll understand why that took so long, but now that I've worked it out, it's quite, I'm not going to say easy, but it's more comfortable. All we need to do now is add the theme in the pedals to that. Oh boy. Pedals again. Now I've just tried it in the German version. I played it through twice, and I made a couple of mistakes each time, but it was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I hadn't practiced this at all before, as my wife will confirm. She's doing something with her eyebrows. I think that means yes. So, by the way, you can't see her tonight, but she's completely wrapped up in a scarf to here because it's so cold in here. I don't even have a jacket on. The heating is on, but not that you'd notice. She's all wrapped up, warm and cuddly, and I'm freezing. This is what we do for you. Hope you appreciate it. So anyway, without all this talk, I'm just going to get on with it. That was much better than the German variation I just played before. When I say German variation, I mean doing the German version, German language version of this scene of this film. So yeah, that worked much better now. Now this bit at the end here, where it goes all sort of in 4 parts in the hands, that becomes rather complicated, and the left hand sort of doing some very funny fingering to make all those sounds right, and it's quite complicated. And then of course you forget that your feet have to sort of left, right, left, right, left, right in the right position. So I'm just going to do it again and see if this time it's better. Don't forget, practicing is something that you can only do at home, or in a church obviously, if you're at an organ, or if you have a virtual organ at home, then that's fine. But you have to practice and practice and practice to make perfect. Now, here's a little tip for you. There's a sort of little saying, I think, I can't remember who said it, but it says, amateur musicians will practice till they get it right. Professionals will keep practicing until they stop getting it wrong. Does that make sense? Until they stop making mistakes, until they can only get it right, as it were, yeah? They keep going and going and going and going. So at the moment, I'm just concentrating on getting the right notes, making sure my fingers are always doing the same thing. I'm not changing my fingering every time, making sure I'm always doing the same thing. That's what I'm concentrating on at the moment. Then the next step is, of course, I now concentrate on the individual line. So I'm playing everything, but I'm concentrating on one individual line. Is there a break there for the articulation? Where do I break here? Somewhere in there? There is a break there, and so on. And then I do that for all the lines. And don't forget the theme and the pedals, of course. So there's an awful lot of work going on inside this tiny little head all at the same time. Who says men can't multitask? Well, apparently organists can. I don't like that bar. It's annoying me. So that's what I then have to go away and practice. Now, we've just spent the best part of 20 minutes talking about 8 bars of Bach. And I said to you, we're going to look at 2 variations in this video. Here we go with the next variation. Okay, that was however long that took to get that one variation, that's 8 bars of Bach, finished. Now, I promised you 2 variations today, so let's move on with the second one very quickly. Now, I just sort of bashed through it in the German version, and it kind of worked. Now, excuse me, it's, maybe I've got corona. Oh God, I hope not. I've been coughing for 4 weeks. Never mind. We've got our lines again. Yeah, there's 3 lines. There's an upper line. And there's a middle line, and so on and so on and so on. And they sort of all sort of meander about, split between the hands again, make it more complicated. But this time, rather than a sort of a flowing, play that cleanly. Well, I played that cleanly. Rather than a flowing melody this time, it's much more sort of rhythmic. We're pushing forwards here, okay? So we're taking those lovely melodic lines and we're adding some rhythm to it to sort of add a bit of spice. So this is what this variation sounds like, roughly. Excuse me, and I still haven't worked out what I'm going to do in this last bar here. I've got to sort of get that trilly thing in there, and I've also got to get sort of some left hand work in there. So I think I'll do it like this. I think. I'll try and get the left hand to take over that middle line again. Okay, so that's basically what's going on there. It's much more rhythmic, it's much more exciting, and it's getting higher and higher. I don't know if you've noticed that yet. Yeah, the first variation only took us to here. And this time, it takes us all the way up to the high C. That's the highest we've been so far. So it's taking us places, yeah? But again, it sort of finishes off by taking us back down again. Right. I tried it once in the German version with pedals immediately, and it didn't really work. And then I said, and I'm going to repeat it here, of course, for the English version, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home and I will this time practice, really practice the Passacaglia up to this point. The first 4 variations, so theme plus 4 variations, practice it up to this point, get it ready. And next time, when we look at our Passacaglia in a couple of weeks' time, we will go to a different organ and I will show you sort of what the possibilities are on a different organ when we're doing this. Now, there are many recordings of the Passacaglia out there. There are recordings where it starts off very gently and builds up and builds up and builds up. There are also recordings, I'm not going to name any names, of any Dutch organists, not young Dutch organists, older Dutch organists, who just whack on full organ and play. And I think that's a terrible shame. It sounds like this, and I think it's rather soulless, but I'm just going to bash through it. So I'm going to start at that first variation, we'll miss out the theme, start at variation 1, play to where we are now, and on 1 registration, no registration changes. I personally think that's a bit of a shame. The piece is so beautiful and you can do so much with it. I'm willing to bet that Bach himself had an assistant at the organ to pull and push stops to make it sound rather more exciting. So anyway, I'm just going to play it and we'll see what happens. So it didn't really work the way I wanted it to, but I was just going to show you that that's how some people play it. Ignore the mistakes I made there. This is all sight reading at the moment, yeah? So I personally think that's not the way you should play Bach's Passacaglia in C minor. I think you should play it by sort of playing around with the registrations and possibilities of the organ you're playing at the time. So that's what we're going to do for next time. I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to sort of stop there for now. I'm not going to play another piece of music because it is rather chilly in here and it's getting dark outside, so it's probably time we went home. And I have to, of course, paste this video together and post it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that was entertaining enough. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I was learning notes for you. So thanks for that. See you next time. Bye bye.